During our North American Wrestling Alliance profile of the wrestlers today, it's a pleasure for me to introduce to you a gentleman who represents really another man that you will meet just a little later. This is Dr. Al Byrne, who is the manager of probably the toughest wrestler around today. And his name tells you everything, the Big Brute. Just how tough is your man?
Well, he's not probably the toughest man in wrestling today. He is the toughest man in wrestling today. That's the reason I spent 6 figures, put his name on a contract for X number of days, because he's the brass knucks champ. And I've got the trophy to prove it.
Now, let me interrupt you. What is exactly, people have asked me at ringside a lot of times, what exactly is brass knuckle wrestling?
Well, a lot of people are under a misconception of brass knucks are these things you put your hands in is made of brass or metal of some kind. What you do in a brass knucks match is very plain and simple. You wrap your hands in tape, and what that does is makes the hand as hard as a rock. It's just like I picked up a rock off the ground and hit you side of the head with it. That's how bad it hurts.
So the Brute...
Let me tell you something about the Brute. I mean, the Brute speaks for itself. Let me bring my man, the Brute, over here.
Bring him on over here. Whoa, look right here. Wow. There's the name. There he is, right there. There he is.
That's nothing but just mean flesh here in the ring, man. Nobody wants to wrestle this man.
You never can talk to him. He don't talk much, does he?
Brute doesn't have to talk. He can wrestle. He's the brass. Got it.
Okay. Well...
He'll be in the ring.
You're the manager. You ought to know. There he is, the Big Brute. Ladies and gentlemen, we got action in the ring. Let's go to ringside. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to more North American Wrestling Alliance Championship Wrestling. This time, 2 Southerners. From Mobile, Alabama, weighing 219 pounds, Jim Tucker. From Indian country, the state of North Carolina, from Cherokee, weighing 210 pounds, Jerry Eagle. I have with me at ringside right now Mike Shane. We've kind of switched brothers on you folks at home there, but I had Mike sit down for a reason. We'll get into that reason just a little bit later. Mike, you've seen both these fellas wrestle before. What do you think about them?
Well, I'm kind of like the crowd. I like his image. He's really colorful. He knows his business. He's steady. He always gets in there and gives you a good match.
And we expect to see just that here. The referee, of course, Dave Ruth, talking to them now, giving them the ground rules, saying what you can and cannot do. And there's the bell starting the match. And Jerry is eager to get going here. Of course, Jim Tucker's eager to get going, too, because Jim told me in an interview I had with him, he came to this area to win some matches, and he'll do it, too.
Well, he has before now. He don't exactly follow all the rules that are necessary for wrestling, but he's a rough, tough customer.
Well, Jerry Eagle has that arm bar on him right now, and I'm sure he can exert tremendous pressure. And coming out of it, look here, what have we got going? What a ploy. Jim Tucker wondered what happened to Jerry Eagle, and he was behind him, ready to flail him to that canvas all the time.
Well, you know, that's about what it really takes, is always be alert at all times. What happens a lot is once you get just a little bit off key.
Whoa, look at that. You know, that body slam didn't break that hold Jerry had, though.
No,
that arm bar, he still had it.
Right. He's got to control, like no other wrestler I've seen. He can control himself at all times.
You know, we saw him wrestle here last week, and he was very impressive, very impressive.
Yeah, he always seems to be a steady, good wrestler. Look at that. Look at that.
Boy, he's latched on that arm bar. He's glued to him.
Yeah, it's hard to find a wrestler as smooth as him. Now, he's not all muscled up. And the guy's kind of a fluid wrestler. And I like to see that. I like to see a lot of good wrestlers.
He's a smart wrestler.
Yeah, he uses his head a lot, and he has a ring presence at all times. That's really what it takes.
Well, you know, Indians have been famous wrestlers all their lives. They're brought up wrestling, one form or another.
Yeah, well, that's what their outdoor training and their running and things put them in pretty good shape. There's a number of good Indian wrestlers around, and there always has been.
That's right. That drop on that arm has got to hurt.
Well, you notice he's working on one part of the body. That seems to be the best way for a wrestler to control. Look at that. Flying hit business. And now he's back to the arm bar. And if he controls that arm and eventually weakens it, there's a good possibility he can win this match.
What he did to that head just now, let me ask you, I know that's happened to you many times before. Doesn't that hurt the top of your head?
Well, there's something that you cannot do is train certain parts of your body to be strong, in your hair or your eyes or something like that, and it hurts.
Oh, a thumb in the throat. Did you see that?
Yes, I did. That's another area that's hard to train.
And of course, Jerry comes back with a slam into that old breadbasket. I believe Jim Tucker got a plenty.
Yeah, he's getting all he can handle.
Oh, what a body slam. And right to the chest. A forearm to the chest. Into the turnbuckle. Uh-oh. What do you do here?
I think you pray.
I don't think that was intentional. And into the turnbuckle. And back to the advantage of Jim Tucker.
Yeah.
So they're changing advantage, one on the other. And look at that Jerry Eagle, right back into that headlock.
Well, you know, it seems that they both know the art of wrestling, but, you know, some of them take these shortcuts, which really is kind of rough.
Tucker just took one by throwing a leg over the rope and getting the whole broke.
Well, maybe I'm not too sure whether it's not it's intelligent or not.
The referee is warning Jerry Eagle about keeping the hand open. Because I haven't seen Jerry hit with anything but an open hand. But there he goes with that thumb in the throat again. Jim Tucker's using it.
Now, he did something to that thumb. I couldn't see quite what he was doing, but he was adjusting it some kind of a way.
Yeah, I see he's got the tape on that thumb. You caught him in the eyes. While we're watching that match, Mike, let me ask you, I see on the side of your face you have what we used to call, when I was in college in sports, a strawberry. Where'd you get that?
Well, in my match here last week, I gave a Billy back suplex, which is it's the toughest one that I use or anybody uses. And when I bridged up to pin him, his trunk lacerated my eye, brushed down there, and it really gave it a good burn.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a week old and it's still there. It'd be about a month, you reckon, for it to clear up?
Yeah, it'll take some time. Of course, that's part of wrestling. You never know what's going to happen to you, you know, broken bones or whatever. Fortunately, I don't have too many of those. Evidently, I can slip away from the holds and things like that.
Well, we know from football, staying in practice eliminates 90% of that. If you're staying in shape and you practice your trade, then that'll help you keep from having broken bones and getting hurt too bad.
Right,
Look out.
Good backdrop there.
Look out. Oh, geez. Boy, Jerry Eagle got out of the way just in time for that. And, of course, he planned it that way.
Oh, look at that.
Drop kick.
He almost took his head off.
And he's in the ropes. So the referee, Dave Ruth, has got to break it up. Jim Tucker was under the rope, so he had to break it up. But what a drop kick Jerry Eagle laid on him. This kid is impressive. I like him.
I think he's going to go a long way in the business himself.
Nice arm drag, takedown. More pressure on that arm.
Seems to have pretty good stamina, too.
Yes, he does. You're talking about the North American Wrestling Alliance Championship Wrestling. I had the pleasure of talking to some of the fans and then the fans' corner. And they really have enjoyed seeing the championship wrestling that they've enjoyed so far.
Well, it's something they need to see. All fresh stars to a lot of them. They haven't seen them before. Most of these wrestlers have wrestled all over the United States and the world previously, Madison Square Garden and otherwhere.
What are we going to do here? Jim Tucker's out of the ring. He's saying, go away. I don't want to wrestle a guy.
Yeah, he better get back before the count, or that's it.
And again, the demonstration leaving for a few seconds around the bell. That's one way to get him back. I'll tell you, this kid, Jerry Eagle, is really working Tucker over. Look out. Look out.
I'll tell you, that abdominal stretch and time had run out in the match, Mike.
I'll tell you something. He was awful lucky because he had him. He had him worn down and everything.
Time ran out in the match. That was not a pin. Time ran out in the match, ladies and gentlemen. It was a one-fall, 10-minute time limit, and time ran out in the match. That's why you see both hands being raised in the ring. The bell was rung because time had run out, not because he was pinned. I think had he had time, Mike, it would have been a pin, don't you?
He was there. I don't see how he could have possibly got out of that one. He had
no
no
way.
Right.
But the clock just saved Jim Tucker from a pin right there because Jerry Eagle had him.
Well, it was submission. It was a abdominal twist there. That's a hold that goes way back. I remember Whitey Whitmer way back in the old days used to have these holds called grapevines. And the grapevines were the popular thing. They did them upside down and right side up. And till they got a submission out of it.
Well, Mike, I'll tell you, we have just seen a fantastic match, and we're going to take a break right now, ladies and gentlemen, and come back for more action from the North American Wrestling Alliance Championship Wrestling.